It says, this generation was the people, or were the people, who persecuted Jesus' disciples in Jerusalem. And let's look at that. Matthew 23, verse 34 to 37, and Matthew 10, 5 to 7. So, Matthew 23, and we're looking at what Jesus said, We are looking at what Jesus said. We are not looking at what my denomination teaches. We are not looking at what your denomination teaches. We are not looking at any devotional book. We are looking at what Jesus himself said. Okay? So in verse 34 of Matthew 23, here's what Jesus was telling the scribes and the Pharisees. He says, Behold, I send unto you prophets and wise men and scribes, and some of them you shall kill and crucify, and some of them shall ye scourge in your synagogues, and persecute them from city to city. All right? So he's saying to the scribes and the Pharisees, the Jewish people, Israel, he says, I am sending to you, I will send to you my prophets, my scribes, my wise men, which is the apostolic ministry of the first church, right? These were the prophets, the apostles were the prophets, because they were bringing the revelation directly from God. There's a mini study I have concerning the authority of the apostles, right? Where did they get their authority and their revelation from? Directly from the Father, according to Jesus. These were the men that Jesus would send to Israel, and he says they would kill. You will kill some of these apostles. You would crucify some of them. We understood Peter was crucified. Some of them you shall scourge in your synagogues. This is a Jewish setting. This is a setting of Jerusalem. You shall persecute them from city to city. Verse 35, that upon you, upon whom? Upon Israel may come all the righteous blood shed upon the earth, from the blood of righteous Abel unto the blood of Zacharias, son of Barachias, whom you slew between the temple and the altar. Right? This was not done by Gentile people. These killings were done by the Jewish people and the Israelite people and the Hebrew people. These killings were done by Israel. You cannot find it recorded in the scripture where any Gentile people killed any of God's prophets. It cannot find it. Israel were the people who killed their own prophets. Verily I say unto you, and this word verily, as I always point out here, is an oath of truth. Jesus is saying, I am telling you the truth. I say unto you, Israel, all these things meaning all the righteous blood shed upon the earth shall come upon Israel. All these things shall come upon this generation. Well, what generation would that be? It would be the generation who stoned the prophets of Jesus, as he said up here. I send unto you prophets, wise men, scribes, and some of them you shall kill and crucify. These were the prophets, the apostles of Jesus. Now, we are in the 21st century. We are 20 centuries after Christ has said that. Which people, which nation do you know existing today have killed apostles who are existing today? There are no apostles. The apostolic ministry ended with John, the apostle John. He was the last apostle. There were 12 apostles, not anymore. Okay. The apostolic ministry ended with John. So this cannot apply to us today. We are not that generation. This is just a specific generation Jesus is referring to. Look at Matthew chapter 10, verse 5 to 7. Matthew 10, verse 5 to 7. All right? Look what he says. These 12 Jesus sent forth and commanded them, saying, Go not in the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as you go, preach, saying, The kingdom of heaven is at hand. The ministry of Christ and his apostles was to Israel, right? The lost sheep of the house of Israel. Okay? And so Christ and his apostles were sent to that generation. And that generation rejected him, chose Barabbas, crucified him, stoned and killed and crucified his prophets. And Jesus says, I am coming back to this same wicked and adulterous generation to reward them according to their works. Right? That's exactly what Jesus said. And it does not match what we are told today by modern Christianity. It does not match one iota. All right? Now, let's continue. So, the generation to whom Jesus was speaking, or the generation of whom Jesus was speaking, were those who were the killers of the apostles. There's only one generation that matches that, and that was Israel. That was Israel, the Hebrew people who were living at the time of Jesus' ministry, who were living at the time of John the Baptist's ministry, who were living at the time of the ministry of the apostles. It was that generation he was speaking of.